Hello and welcome to another tutorial from MoICT. In this tutorial, we're going to create a image gallery application using Tkinter and Python. So the application that we're going to create is this one here. As you can see, in this application, we attached an icon to the window as well. So the icon shows up on the corner of the window here, along with the title. You can see the image that's being displayed. It tells us how many images are loaded in, and then we also have the button to change them. So if I click on change, it goes to the second one, goes to the third, fourth, fifth, and then it comes back to the first one here. Okay, I'm going to walk you through how to download the images and use them inside of the Python project. Okay, so the images that we need are these ones here. You can download them from the website, and they're all inside of the images folder. Right, so the folder I'm using right now is just a folder called Python, and so far we've done 2 scripts here. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to copy all of these images, and then we'll close this one for now. So inside of here, I'm going to create a new folder called images. And then inside of the folder, I can paste all of these images in there. So there are 5 images altogether. They're all JPEGs, right? And then we also have one icon file as well. Okay, so if I open my Visual Studio Code, so in my Visual Studio Code, I've already loaded my Python folder here. So as you can see, the images are showing up, right, including the icon one as well. I can probably see a little preview of them. They're relatively small because the folder needs to be in direct relation to where the script is when it executes. So otherwise, it's not going to be able to find the images that we need. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new script here. So I'm going to call this one image viewer tkinter.py. Okay, so image viewer tkinter. Okay, so a couple of things we're going to need for this one is there's a framework called Pillow. You might need to install that, and you can take a look at any of the tutorials online on YouTube, and they actually show you step by step on how to install it. And there's also good documentation online as well. I'll try to link some of them in the description. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and say from Tkinter import everything. Okay, and then also I'm going to need PIL, that's the Pillow framework I was just talking about. I'm going to import image TK and also image. Okay, so those are the 2 framework classes that we're going to need. First, let's just set up the window, say TK, and then say root title is going to be MoICT Python / Tkinter image viewer, and then give the root a size. So geometry. This one we're going to give it a size of 610 and 430. Okay, and after that, we'll give it a root for icon bitmap. So where the location of the icon is for the window. So I'm gonna give it images / icon.ico because that's where it is. So I'll call the folder images, and then icon.ico is right there. So let's see if that works for now, and say main loop. Okay, so with the window actually created, we can actually run this one and see if it actually works. Geometry, oh yeah, forgot, didn't do that. I did a comma instead of the X, so it's actually saying we sent in bad value for the geometry. Okay, so if I open this now, so as you can see, the title is showing up there alongside with the icon on the window. Okay, great. So first, let's set up the components, and then hopefully that way it'd be a lot easier to explain how this application is going to be arranged. So I'm going to create a label called image label equals to label. So this one is not going to contain any text. It's going to contain the image that we want. Right. So we're going to say root, and then image equals to, not image label, image like so, and then we just leave that blank for the moment, and then we'll come back to this one in a minute. Okay, and then we also need a info label. Okay, then we're going to give a label, link that one to the root as well. Say just text should say 1 of, actually say image 1 of 5. Okay, so this is just going to be the placeholder for the moment. Say font Helvetica, oh, capital H, Helvetica, and then give it a size of 20. And we're also going to need the button. So say button equals to button. Let's link it to the root. And then text is going to be change with 20, height 2, G is going to be purple, and foreground is going to be white. Okay. And we'll do a command for it as well to say change image. So that way there's a function that is going to run every time we click on the button. Okay. So with that done, we can actually now pack them all and display them to the root. So say image label, info label is the second one, pack that one, and then button is the last one, pack that there. I think that would do. I want to see what it looks like at the moment. So I'm just going to create the change image here. Say def change image to the brackets, and then we'll just do a return here. I just want to make sure that everything else is showing up as they should. All right, so we have an empty label and then the label showing 115 and change button there. So what I want to do is when the label is displaying the image, this label will be pushed down anyway, but I want the button to stay all the way down here. Okay. So for that, what we can do here is we can just say side to bottom like so. So if you do side bottom and padding, let's give it about 3 padding there. So that way, when we actually load the application, the button gets placed to the bottom of the screen, right? So let's add an image to this one. So this part here is going to be interesting, I suppose. So what we can do is we can simply say to the image that if we declare an image over here, say image1 is equals to image tk dot photo image, and then we want to load an image inside of that, say image, like this, say image dot open, right? And then here we're going to need to give the location of the image that we want to open, right? So we're going to say images dash 01 dot jpg. Okay, so this variable here is called image1, so I can simply link the image1 to this one here. Okay, and if I load this now, hopefully that should load up the image. So the image actually gets loaded up like so. Now we have a bigger window, so what I want to do is I want to stretch this image so it actually fits inside of the window nicely, right? So this is why we need to use the resize option that comes with the image class. So right after, as we are doing the image open, inside of that same bracket, now we need to say dot resize. Okay, and inside of resize, we're going to need to give it another bracket as well, because the resize takes in tuples. So it's basically like an absolute value. So we're going to say the value can be 600 by 350. What that will do is, like, the image that we're loading can be any size from the hard drive, and that will force the size onto the image and display it onto the label. So let's run this one now. Okay, so as you can see, actually displays it quite nicely, border to border, the labels put in the bottom, and then we have the button that's displaying at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so because we have 5 images, I'm just going to make duplicate this line a couple of times. So let's say 1 2 3 4 5. In Visual Studio Code, you can hold Alt and Shift and press down to duplicate the number that is already selected. Okay, right, and I'm just going to rename these to 2 3 4 5. I think I did it 6 times already. That's great. 2 3 4 and then 5, because those are the images that we have in here. Okay, And after that, we need to add them to a list. So I'm going to say image underscore list is equals to, say, image, image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4, and then image 5. Okay, so I've added them all to a list here. I'm going to call it, let's create a counter. Counter equals to, say, 0 for now. So that's so far all we need to do for the outside of the function bit. So we declared our components, done the images and the list and the counter. So now let's go ahead and add the necessary instructions for the function. So first we need to communicate with the counter integer here. So we need to say global and then link in the counter, right? So that way whatever value is changed is globally changed, not just changed inside of the function. Okay, so and then we can say if counter is less than the length of the image list minus 1. So we don't want it to go over the list. So if it goes to the last child of the list, we don't want it to go to number 6 because the number 6 doesn't exist. So if it goes to number 6, it's going to cause an error. So that's why we're doing a minus 1 here. Okay, and then say counter is plus equals to 1. So as long as the counter is less than the number of item available inside of the list, then we can increment the counter each time with the click, right? And then else, I'm going to say counter is equals to 0. So when it goes to number 5, as soon as we click again, it should go back to 0 again. Okay. So at this point, the application will still work, right? If I click on that and then nothing happens, although these are being triggered. So if you want to see how it's being changed, if I just do a print here and say counter, right? So if you look at the bottom part of the window, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it goes to, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes to 0 because we're counting up from 0. So we can only go to 5, right? So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back to 0. Okay, because the first child in the list is always counted as a 0. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes back to 0 again. Okay, so now to apply that to the images. So here we can call in the label, say image label dot config. Okay, and then inside the config, say image list, and then we can add the counter to this as well. Okay, so whenever the counter changes, it's going to change, it's going to walk through each, sorry, it's going to step through each of the items inside of the list. Okay, so if I try this one again, okay, so the second one changes, then we come back to the first one again. Okay, so as you can see, that 0 has been loaded here. So now it's just time to change this label here. So underneath that, you can say info label.config as well. And then inside of there, we're going to say text. So we want to change the text one. So image plus str. So whatever we need to display, we have to convert it to a string first. So say counter plus 1, because the counter starts from 0 and it only goes up to 4, but we have 5 images. So to make it easier for the user to use it, we're going to add 1 to it. So whenever it's 0 is going to say 1, whenever it's 1 is going to say 2, and so on. Okay, and then say plus. Okay, and here say space of space again, plus, and then again with the string, and let's give it a length of the image list. So what the length of the image list is. So if you want to add like more images to it, it will still work exactly the same way. Okay, so let's try and load this one up now. So this is image 1 of 5, image 2 of 5, image 3 of 5, 4, and then 5 of 5, and back to 1 again. Okay, so this has been a simple example of how to create a image viewer inside of Tkinter and using Python. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and as usual, I'll see you on the next one.